Hey guys, my name is Tommy Cooper.
And I'm Lauren Bush, and we're going to start off our poetry project videos with my poem, The End, by Wilfred Owen. And to give a little, what's it called?
Background
information on Wilfred Owen. He fought in World War I, and he was diagnosed with shell shock, or better known as PTSD, which kind of affected him and affected him later on in life when he wrote some of this poetry. So The End is basically a poem questioning life after death. He opens the poem talking about war, and then later on, a couple lines down, you can kind of see either the war has ended or his life has ended, and he doesn't really know where he fits in life, or if he's going to heaven or hell, or he's stuck in a limbo of purgatory.
And if you kind of just look at specific examples in the poem, in the first two lines you have a blast of lightning from the east, and that's really, just a visual expression of like a bomb blast. And then as you go down, the next line has a flourish of loud clouds, and that could just resemble once again the bomb blast, or just the dust that's kicked up when one is to go off. And then if you go down further a little bit more in the first stanza, you have a lot of questions, like Lauren had alluded to. But one, for example, is wash with an immortal water age. Now, the way that I kind of took that was, like Lauren had said, asking the question of, will I be, redeemed of all my sins and, accepted into an eternal life? And also, we have from the bronze west, and that's kind of a symbol of, a sunset, which could be relating to, just like the end of one life transitioning into another, and kind of a little foreshadowing as we go on. It's transitioning into a darker phase.
Yeah, and definitely after this first stanza, he kind of fulcrums and he starts to has his questions answered. He says, "When I do ask white age," and white age could be a symbol for God, "he saith not so. My head hangs weighed with snow." Snow meaning something cold, death, like preluding to death. And he says, "When I hearken to earth, she saith, my fiery heart sinks aching," meaning that he begged Mother Earth, another symbol, for his life, but she basically told him that he wasn't going to be saved, and her heart burned for him. She felt sorrow and pity for him because he would not be saved.
So as we get into the second stanza a little bit more, the last two lines really are pretty crucial. The second to last line says that mine ancient scars shall not be glorified. And I think with all those questions from the first stanza, we're finally getting the answers. And it says basically pretty straight up that he will not be glorified for his scars. And his scars can be referring to his sins from his life that have left marks on him throughout his entire life. And that they will not be glorified means that he's not going to be forgiven for the bad things that he's done. And also, and then going into the last line, it says, "Nor my titanic tears the seas be dried." So through all the sadness that he's been through and all the tears that he has shed and that he has caused others to shed, it won't be dried up. Those will still remain, and those will last forever. So once again, he's not going to be redeemed for all of his wrongdoings. And I think that's first of all, a really sad ending, but a pretty finite conclusion to a poem.
Definitely. I mean, I think one of the most important lines in this poem is, "It is death," because it shows a realization of the end. And when you first look at this poem, you think the end, okay, it's probably going to be about death, but I mean, it could be about a number of things leading up to this. And when Owen finds out, it's like a justification. It's like, it's a realization, and then after that, it's the two lines that Tommy was talking about. He's just going back through, "I will not be glorified, and my tears will not be redeemed. I won't have any redemption."
How about the rhetorical questions? You want to go into those a little bit?
Yeah, I think they're really important because when he talks about the rhetorical questions, it makes the reader kind of it takes the reader aback, and it's just like, yeah, what is afterlife? And it's kind of putting you in his shoes, and it shows his desperation to find out what's next.
Yeah, I think with those questions, kind of along the lines that you said, it really makes the poem more personal and allows you to ask yourself those same questions within your own life while you're kind of going vicariously through Owen's experiences as a soldier. So I think that's one great way that Owen connects the reader with the poem. And then if we're to go into just the overall theme, now that we've covered all the small aspects, the overall theme of this poem is, you can be thrust into these situations like war, and it's not necessarily a certain death, but it's definitely a pretty decent option.
Yeah, it's
pretty.
War is a death in itself. I think when you have to go into war, you're losing some part of yourself, and I think he may have not died in that moment, but a part of him died, whether it be mentally or a part of his soul died. Just something was taken from him in this war, or in this moment.
And I think with the PTSD or the shell shock, he died within himself. Definitely. And it may not even be referring to a godlike figure. It could be him within himself saying that I can never forgive myself for the things that I've done.
That's, oh my God, it's so good.
All right, so that's basically the end of the end.
The end.